All right, part two. So if you missed part one, just scroll down. You'll see the part one. All right, so where was I at? So after leaving Wendy's was when I went to Rafford. When I went to Rafford, I was a college student. I wasn't really partying as much as like college students would party, but I partied, and I was working at Food Line. That was the other job that I had gotten. I was working at Food Line, and I was a cashier, and I was doing produce. So around this time, I still was just like, okay, I'm getting money. I don't like walking up this big hill, because there was a big hill that I had to walk. I didn't have my car when I went to college. They wouldn't let me bring it. So I had to walk up this big hill with my ex. We both walked up this big hill and went to work. We were working at the same Food Line. And I just remember the very first time that I ever had to pay a bill was when I was living with my ex and a friend. And it was all three of us in a 2-bedroom apartment off campus. When that first bill came in and we each had to put down almost $400 written in check from the money that we got for our apartment. So what is that? That's like $1,200 for the apartment that we had. And this was an off-campus apartment. It wasn't even big. It was like a small apartment. Oh my gosh. And then I had no idea what food stamps was. I had no idea what that was. I was never taught any of that. If I was ever told any of that when I was growing up, it was from my adopted parents saying that it was something that they never wanted me to get on because it was something that was frowned upon. Like if you were on it, then you weren't doing the best in life or whatever. All that BS. It's very helpful. It's very helpful. Oh gosh, I don't know why they said what they said, but they're evil anyways. But anyways, so that was the very first time that I dropped money from the job that I was working, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to give all this money to something that I rarely see. I mean, think about it. I was working, but then I was going to classes. So a lot of times I wasn't even in my apartment. So that's also another thing with like the 9 to 5 scam thing that I was talking about. If you have a place and you are living in your apartment, your home, and you're working to pay that off, if you're not working remotely, you are at work. So your house, your apartment is collecting dust. If you have kids, they're at school. We're programmed when we're in school and we're there for 8 hours. Like, does that not blow someone's mind out there that we went to school for 8 hours and you had a 30-minute lunch break, but the rest of the time you're learning about crap that you're never going to really use in the future? I mean, I think we can all agree with that. I don't remember everything that I learned in chemistry, even though I believe personally that I passed because my adopted father was the superintendent and he probably did something illegal, but that's a whole different story too. Let me know if you want to hear that. I have a whole just a lot that I could share. But let me go back to so after Wendy's and then after Food Line, this is when my drinking started getting heavier. When I turned 19, this is when my drinking was really bad, and around that time I would spend the money that I was getting from Food Line. I would ask if I could get some money, because remember, they were holding the money. I would ask if I could get some money, and they'd send it to me and be like, for what? Oh, for food, blah, blah, blah. And this is when I would give it to someone to then go and get me some drinks, because I wasn't old enough. I was 19. And I started becoming an alcoholic. And which, if you're an alcoholic, or if you do something that needs the money that you work for to feed your habit, I've been there, trust me. Then that's also more money that you're dropping down on spending for that. You know what I mean? And It really wasn't until I worked at, it was a tavern and it was a restaurant and it was a family restaurant. Don't get me wrong, I met some really cool people there, but the whole work thing started getting at me. It started like coming full circle, and I was around this time I was like 24. I was like 24 years old, 23. So not too long ago. I was like 23 years old before my brain fully developed at that time. This is when I was this is when I like woke up into, you know, what I've been talking about. Like, I think that I'm like we're getting enslaved into doing this, you know. And when the COVID-19 came out, we had to wear the mask, and I worked in a kitchen, and it was hot. It was hot in there. It was hot in that kitchen, and I would sit there, and I'd be in my mind a lot, you know. I'd still do my little flirting at work, and I would just sit there, and I would look around, and everybody just seems like they're okay with this. But I was on the fryers. I was frying them fish, the oysters. I remember when the manager was like, she had told us, because I was serving too. I did everything. I did serving, I did bussing, I did dishwasher, I cooked, I prepped. I did a little bit of everything at that tavern. And I would never forget that the manager was like, to the servers when I was serving, she was like, make sure that if someone asks if this is homemade, tell them yes. So you have to lie in a big establishment like this. So many people love this tavern. So many people love it, you know, and they would come here from all around the world just to visit it. And you're telling me that I have to lie? I have to lie at these innocent customers that is giving you their money that they probably had to work for to then give to you. Things were prepackaged. Nothing there was really homemade except like the fish. Maybe the fish, you know. And that's when I really was like, you know what is this whole work thing? So we go to school for 12 years of our lives. If you made it past 12th grade and you graduated, and then you move off to college if you want to go there and be even more in student debt, myself, you know, for what? To get behind a building. I was in this building. There was no windows where I was working. None. There was one back door that you can go through the back, but on your breaks, I was smoking at that time. I was smoking cigarettes, and I had about 3 cigarettes. I didn't care about lunch. I didn't want to eat anything. In the mornings, I'd wake up before I went to work. I'd probably be hungover that morning. When I made it to work, I would throw up in the bathroom. People knew that I was hungover because I didn't like where I was, and I didn't know how to get out of it because I was trained that if you have a job and if you like it, which I liked it, but I didn't understand it. I wasn't seeing any of the money. I was young. You know, we're not taught any of this when we're in school, really, or just in life in general. It just didn't make any sense to me, you know? And so, where was I at? So yeah, I would just shove down 8-hour energy drink, little shots, and just go into work. And that was my work experience. Throughout a lot of my work experiences, that is what I've done. And I knew that I had to get out of this, because if I didn't get out of this, I'd still be in the same situation that I was in. I wouldn't have told my story. I'd probably still be living with them. I'd still be working somewhere, this 9 to 5 that I hated. And even though I went to college, never graduated. So, yeah. Let me know if you guys want me to talk about this. I don't know. Let me know. Hopefully this helps someone. Work for yourself. If you can, try to, or at least try to look into it, you know. All right, bye, you guys.